and GeForce brought us here. And now all of our keynotes is 90% not GeForce. But it's not because we don't love GeForce. GeForce RTX 50 series just had its most successful launch ever.
We appreciate the feigned self-awareness, but just so we're all clear on the math here, 2 minutes out of a 100-minute keynote approximately is actually closer to 98% not GeForce, not 90% not GeForce. Doesn't sound like a big difference, but when you've only got 10 percentage points left to play with, it kind of is. Now, as far as calling the RTX 50 series NVIDIA's most successful launch ever, maybe by whatever their metrics are, maybe by sales, but we would definitely have to disagree based on how it's gone the last several months. Now, NVIDIA also announced its RTX Pro 6000 servers and GPUs. The GPUs were already known, but each RTX Pro 6000 Blackwell Server Edition GPU will have 4 petaflops of claimed AI performance, 96 gigabytes of GDDR7, 1.6 terabyte per second memory bandwidth, and each RTX Pro server connects 8 of these GPUs, and each RTX Pro server rack connects 4 of the servers, amounting to 32 GPUs per server rack by our count. One entire RTX Pro server rack consists of 32 RTX Pro 6000 GPUs, 120 petaflops of claimed AI FP4 performance, 3 terabytes of GPU memory spread across all the GPUs, 51 terabytes per second memory bandwidth, and 256 encoders and decoders. Jensen Huang announced,
"Our RTX Pro server is in volume production across all of our partners in the industry. This is likely the largest go-to market of any system we have ever taken to market."
And as it relates to robotics, the company announced the Jensen Thor.
Error. Hot bucket.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh no, wait, sorry, that's Jetson. Jetson Thor. This is a robotics processor that just started production. Next, Jensen shared that Groot N1.5 is now open source, and finally announced Groot Dreams, which is a way to use AI, they say, to amplify the amount of data that was collected during human demonstration to train an AI model. Jensen Huang quickly moved on to discussing numerous AI-related endeavors. We'll run through a bullet list of what we felt were the most relevant announcements. NVIDIA redefined its company, again, calling itself, quote, an AI infrastructure company, end quote, that builds so-called AI factories. Jensen announced the GB300 Grace Blackwell superchip, an upgrade to the previous GB200 that uses the same architecture. He then explained how the GB300 NVL72 is assembled using 72 Blackwell GPUs. Huang announced the DGX Spark and DGX Station, 2 so-called personal AI computers. These are currently in production with partner models coming as well. Huang showcased the RTX Pro server and server rack, now in full production. And to wrap things up, NVIDIA announced what it calls Constellation, which is NVIDIA's newest office, and it's built in Shilin, Taiwan. In a news report by Digitimes, the next story, Seagate is cautioning against storage demand and needs for AI data centers and servers in the industry, talking about difficult to sustain manufacturing for AI processing and use cases. Seagate said at a Computex keynote that the data storage demands are outstripping supply, with supply at an estimated 1 to 2 zettabytes annual production, while the company anticipates a tripling in need for storage over the next 3 years. Seagate also underscored concerns of carbon footprint, which we'll expand on as being especially concerning since hard drives are, in particular, getting cycled out for larger capacity drives in the same physical space with some regularity. According to Seagate, 200 million drives are shredded each year. Seagate and other companies have begun attempting to securely destroy data in a way that allows them to reclaim rare earth metals in a recycling process more effectively, but we're not sure this will significantly offset the waste production. Digitimes cites a Goldman Sachs research report that projects a 165% increase in data center power demand within the next 5 years, as measured against 2023's needs. And now we'll get back into some of the consumer stuff, starting with something that's more fun. So jumping over to Inwin next, the company was lacking in firm details on consumer cases at Computex. It had a lot of them. It just wasn't ready yet to talk about price, release dates. It's still kind of in the early phases of them. So we didn't have enough to work with to make a full video report without any of those details finalized, but we still had some interesting stuff. And one of them is a case that is driven by a wand. So we'll jump over to that. So Inwin's latest creation is the Chronomancy, which is this case. This is, I guess you think of it as the signature series in the past, but this one is actually for the anniversary. It's the 40th anniversary for Inwin. So first of all, down here, gigantic gears and like a stepper motor as far as we understand it. So you can see we're hooked up here to power. And on the other side, there's a cog that'll turn in step with the gears to open and close it. And they've built this specific wand that uses IR and then basically gesture input to do opening, music, things like that. And we don't have a price. There's supposed to be something like maybe 40, 50 pieces that they're gonna make. If you've seen in-win stuff in the past in this series, it's all show pieces, like flourishes of design and creativity. We've shown them at their offices before. So mostly it's just kind of cool. This still has a computer in it. So they've got this tower here where fan, SSD, and then we've got a block down here. And then the system itself is up top with a vertical GPU. And it looks like we've got standard ATX board up top, PCIe slots, in the very top of the case, a rear fan to pull air up and out, which is really the only way it can go through. There's a speaker on this side, which we'll show in footage so we don't open it again. And then the paneling is stainless steel for this front plate, acrylic with laser engraving, and then a large aluminum base with 5 pillars to it, which Inwin has also chosen for making a statement. So one interesting thing with this is the process for manufacturing the acrylic plate here, where first it's a flat sheet, they laser engrave it, and then they bend it into the shape. And just like the other Signature Series cases we've seen in the past, the non-anniversary ones, the manufacturing process for this, I think, is part of the showcase because this seems very difficult to make. So anyway, that's the Chronomancy. Excellent name, if nothing else. And we'll check out some of the more normal stuff. All right, so first one I want to show is the Cube Pro. The layout for this, so it's like a double-decker setup where power supply in the back, it can support emergency failover. The top deck is the motherboard. The fan layout is 2 80 mil fans in the rear. There's 2 120s in the front, at least possible, and then 1 120 in the bottom rear down here. There's also this handle. This is not a rack mount chassis, but it should be kind of like, I guess like a home, you could make a super nice NAS with this or something. And then this, so you got 2 hot swap, 2.5 inch in the front with a back plane for SATA power and data. And then the 5 1/4 up here. So Inwin was saying that these can also be swapped for these drive cage modules, giving another 4 drive mounts to the front of the case. The covalent was interesting, so they're taking feedback on this right now. This case isn't ready. This is a more standard case I'm used to covering. So the only feedback we had was this glass side where this looks good. Unfortunately, it makes it so that these fans can't take air in from anywhere. The next best option would be the rear side panel perforating the lower down side of it to try and pull some air through the shroud, because otherwise it has to pull through the very bottom of the case that's so far away that you're gonna need some really high pressure fans to do that. The case itself though has a little bit of the fractal torrent look going for it on the front. So this is plastic. They're probably going to stick with plastic. Part of the reason being just material cost in general. The top, they're thinking aluminum, but otherwise it's just a high airflow design, mesh front with the slats for some design element. We've seen